Hello YouTuber, Joshua724 here. I know I haven't been posting the gameplay footage recently, but that's only because I've had my hand full. Last month it was family stuff, and this month, going into November, it's going to be Black Friday at Walmart. But I am going to try to get stuff done. In the meantime, I thought it would be a good idea to work towards being able to play Star Wars Battlefront and posting that footage on YouTube. Now, I knew right off the bat that this would entail two different companies at least. This is assuming that Disney is taking its hands-off approach like it's doing with its Marvel franchise. As such, I only felt the need to email EA and Lucasfilm. Now, EA basically said I can post their gameplay footage on YouTube, but as far as a third party is concerned, I had to ask the third party, which would be Lucasfilm. So I emailed Lucasfilm. I did ask 3 separate questions, but that could easily be boiled down to just 2. 1, can I post gameplay footage to YouTube? And 2, can I monetize? All Lucasfilm would say was, well, they gave me basically a blanket answer. I don't have permission to do stuff with their property, whatever that entails. So the only other thing I could think of was, and unfortunately I stumbled across the beta on Origin, so I just decided to play some beta footage of the game, record that, post it to YouTube, and see what would happen. Now, as I'm tweaking the settings on my game, I'll share with you what my computer settings are. I have an ASUS Z97A 64-bit motherboard, an Intel Core i5 3.5 GHz 4th Gen CPU, an EVGA GeForce GTX 970, Crucial Ballistix Sport 8GB kit, and Windows 10. I'll post additional details of those specific components on the video so you'll better understand what I have. And basically I'll start off at a basic setting on the video controls, and as I go through I will increase the settings to see how far I can push my computer. Oh yeah, this is like a weird thing that I did. I didn't even know that was going to happen. Anyways, I'll push the video settings until I get to the maximum point that my computer can handle without my frame rate dropping, and in the process give some input to all you players out there as to what the minimum requirements will be for you to be able to play Battlefront on your own gaming systems. Now, the interesting thing is that I had originally read somewhere that the recommended requirements were going to be 32 gigabytes and the minimum requirements were going to be 8 gigabytes. So I figured that I was going to be in trouble at the very start. But as you can see, especially when you're taking into consideration action on screen as well as detailed graphics from the graphics engine, it's doing pretty good. I actually expected no less from this, considering the fact that it's using the same engine that they used for Need for Speed The Run. I never really liked the gameplay in that game, but the graphics were fantastic, which was a shame that it was so difficult to play that thing. And I don't think I have it at the full settings yet, but as you can see, it's doing a pretty good job holding on. Now, this is 1280 by 720 in a window, which I imagine that's pretty impressive by itself. Also, you'll notice as I go along, I really don't know what I'm doing. I'm basically winging it, as well as I'm playing, I'm tweaking my controls, so that way I'll get it to where I have my controls where I want them based on past gameplay of the Battlefield, the older Battlefield series that EA did, and basically make so that it works similar to the control system I had for those games. Furthermore, I found that it was rather difficult to get the control settings to work right. I finally just had to go through, and if I wanted a button to work for a certain control, I had to delete the button from the old control and then add it to the new control, so that way I didn't have conflicts, because, well, I don't know if it's like it didn't automatically show me a conflict, or it was just set so that one button could have two controls on it. I just know that it was very frustrating trying to get it to work right. And so you see where the white X is in the top right corner of the button? That I basically clicked it on everything that I didn't want to be one thing, so it could, the control could be something else. And that's basically how I was winging it the entire time. This defend the pod thing is interesting, considering the fact that with the Battlefield series, there would be basically a location that was basically set in the game, and you'd go to it to gain control of that checkpoint. And with this, especially like at the half, I do like single player in the first part, and multiplayer in the second part. And when I did multiplayer, the pods were raining down, so that was an interesting thing that they added. You can see that I'm slowly gaining control of the pod. And it looks like I have some time before... No, that's... I don't know what that countdown is, considering it's coming up. But there's an ATST there. And this is really impressive, the fact that it was like shooting through the rocks. Well, actually, just the fact that it's an ATST, and I'm standing there, basically getting shot up, not knowing what to do. Fortunately, there were these things that came up, so I figured one of them Mom will, like, help me with this. And I get a rocket gun, and so I figured I could use that on the ATST. Well, I had no idea what I was doing with it, so in fact I think I just lost it, I don't know. But yeah, it's just the fact that I was suddenly up against an ATST and I had no idea what to do. Yeah, here's the rocket now. I don't know how many bullets I have for it, so I'm just like trying to fire at the ATST. And just 2 rounds and it's already used up. But fortunately it's low enough that it's going to die soon. Just a question of whether or not I'm going to die first or it will. Got these turret devices, but I have no idea how they're supposed to be used. And so I put one down, but I end up putting that behind the pod because I don't know how to use it. And it isn't until I hit the other one that it gives me a anti-vehicle gun that I could have used that on the ATST, but I didn't know how to use it, how to place it, how to do whatever with it. So yeah, it's a half-baked gameplay footage. But putting aside the fact that I'm doing rather lousy with it, especially considering this is my first time, I did a pretty good job. I mean, I'll used up most of my lives, so I'm down to my last life by the time this level is done. But that aside, it's a pretty good looking game. At some point I fall down the ledge because I didn't know that there... Well, obviously there's a boundary, but it doesn't stop you from falling down the ledge. This, I did a pretty good job of sniping these stormtroopers. I think the AI is pretty good on them. I shoot that one up and he goes around another route. Try to keep on getting him, but it's like I can't get him until he gets up closer. And again, with these this rock pile, the fact that the ATST was shooting it and it was slowly falling apart, I find that really fascinating. They said that there were shock troopers that I would have to deal with, but unless it's those red guys that have Gatling guns, like if you've seen World War II footage, you'll see these soldiers. Yeah, here's where I fall off, and I find out that there's no boundary to stop me. I just die. And that's another thing, the fact that I've already got limited lives in single player. And well, I guess when we run out, we have to start over the level from the very beginning. Anyways, I don't know about the shock troopers and the possibility that they're basically in the World War II footage, you'll see soldiers with Gatling guns, and I guess that's what those are. And this is where I didn't realize that the enemy had surrounded me on all sides. And I basically had to get up against the wall and start shooting the stormtroopers until they were all off of me. Didn't know what else to do. I know there's the rocket pack if you press 3. Of course, at the time, I was just trying to like get around. I suspect I'll like set up my controls so that way the rocket pack will be the same button as jump, so that way if I run out of rocket juice, I can still jump around using the same button. So it's amazing the amount of background detail they put in. Yeah, here I'm admiring how good the graphics look. And just the fact that the Star Destroyer and the Calamari Cruiser appear to be in atmosphere. This is the first time I use the rocket pack. Did a pretty good job of landing. And now that I have a better idea of what needs to be done, I'm able to like start trying to gain control of the pod. I lose this one though because I'm like got stormtroopers coming at me, the ATST coming at me. And I think there was even a stormtrooper with a bazooka shooting at me. Can't remember. I don't know if it was like in the single player or in the multiplayer when I started playing multiplayer. Here is where I like finally go through and start deleting button controls for certain controls, just so that I can get things, get a control attached to a specific button, so it will actually play the way I'm trying to get it to play. There's the ATST, and he'll come up and destroy the pod. Well, at least I think he's the one who destroys the pod. I know I'm down to like, actually I'm not sure if I even looked at the wave 6 of 6 until I was like trying to deal with just this ATST by itself. But that's when I knew that all I had to do was deal with the ATST, and I would win the round. I think it's, oh yeah, that's where I like use up my last life. I know if I'm about to die, then it's game over and I'll have to start all over again. At some point I noticed that whatever number 1 is, I don't know if it's like the grenade launcher type of thing that I could use on the ATST as opposed to having the rocket launcher. But I figure if it's like some type of shooting explosive I could use, yeah, there goes the pod, then maybe I could still use it on the ATST. Anyways, I'm now using the pod to defend myself, but I know I have to move some time. Oh yeah, here's where I use it. So I'll use it on the ATST to see what all it does. And basically they land short, so that's when I find out, okay, this is some type of grenade launcher. And of course it takes a while to reload it. So I'm now just jumping around from location to location, just trying to avoid the firing of the ATST as my grenade launcher reloads. And, oh, there's destruction on the Star Destroyer. I saw destruction on the ground, didn't know the Star Destroyer was in trouble as well. I wonder if that's supposed to represent who's winning. Because I'm like defeating wave after wave, and the Star Destroyer is damaged. Just an interesting thought. Of course, in that case, depending on who's winning, will there be smoke on one vehicle in space, and then the other vehicle in space will be smoking while the other one stops smoking? Huh, interesting thought. Anyways, now I'm just like waiting until the ATST gets into range until I can fire these grenade launchers. But I find out that it isn't easy to like shoot it at it and hope that it hits it and blows up or something. They are not sticky, they will land wherever, so I basically have to get into positions where I know I have a better chance of destroying it every time I shoot off these grenades. This is where I realized the rocket pack is going to be directional based on where I hit something, so I can't control it as much as just launch it, and then I'll land wherever I land, and if there's something in the way, I bounce off of it. Oh well. The laser gun appears to be able to overheat, so I think that's something that carried over from the first two Battlefront games. Boy, just the amount of detail they put in these levels. I know that this is like the, I've heard, well, read somewhere about how people think that the Frostbite engine is at its limit, and they need to make a new Frostbite engine, but, in my opinion, it's still holding it pretty well. Love the particle effects, that's for sure. Okay, good. The ATST is finally destroyed. Well, that's the single player level. There aren't really any more, so I go back and decide to do multiplayer next, just to see how the whole thing holds up in multiplayer. Well, actually, for all intents and purposes, I did the graphical test in single player, so there's not really much more to do other than to just enjoy other aspects of it a little more. Obviously, you can see that there's only 2 levels available in multiplayer, but in all honesty, that's enough to like try out the game and see how it works. I imagine at the point at which I started playing the beta is where they had gone through a lot of the testing and gotten out whatever bugs there were in the game, because it seems to play really smoothly now. Yeah, this is, I think it's Solus, the volcano planet. No, Solus is something else. Yeah, these are new planets anyway, so. I mean, for 4, 5, and 6, I had 30 years, well, I guess 25, to, minus the first 5 years of my life, that I had to memorize all the old planets, and now there's a whole bunch of new planets to remember. I know there's the other volcano planet in episode 3, but this seems to have a different type of volcanic texture than the other planet. The other thing in particular with this multiplayer level is the fact that I was able to get up close to some of these vehicles and really see the detail of them. Furthermore, just the variety of different environments that they made for this game. I started off just with whatever I have, not really knowing what else I can add to my arsenal. Don't last too long. At this point, I'm just like going from location to location, trying to get every place. I try to avoid the holes because I don't know what's in them, but I find out later. I love the detail on this shuttle. So I follow the pipes to where this thing is. That maybe they are able to get me through the tunnels and such to get to the pod. Do a pretty good job of surviving at first, but I don't last too long. Take out some stormtroopers. Unfortunately, someone threw a thermal detonator, so actually I think I read somewhere about how that was a feature that was an add-on or something, I don't know. But yeah, I got killed by a thermal detonator. First time on the multiplayer battlefield. I know that one of the levels was a flying level, or is it that as far as which level is a flying level depends on where you, I guess how you play it, as in this is multiplayer on land fight, whereas there's a version of this that is a in-air fight, because I know about the air combat trailer that they put out, and I seem to recall that that was also a volcano planet. So, but they only have on. It appears that they only have on-foot battles in this one, but still, that's just fine by me. Don't survive too long in these multiplayer maps. Eventually, I develop a strategy, which is I'll be near the pod, but I'll try to like get up on a ledge and shoot down enemies that way. With this, I try looking around to see where other players are getting their extra guns and stuff to see if I can get some, but I don't see anything. In particular, I was trying to find a rocket pack. With this, I'm just trying to figure out where I can step on the land. I wonder what kind of detail that is in the background, whether it's on the flat side and they just have laser effects that go by at certain points, or if we're looking at, well, like something in Gmod where it's the main playground is what's detailed, and the surrounding background that sort of like covers the external side of the sandbox is actually a set-aside, miniaturized set that is just far enough away that it looks detailed, but isn't. But that's pretty much how all sandbox games are since Doom, I guess. Of course, by now I'm sure that they would have been advanced enough that they could make a complex-looking background, but in a simplified manner. Be interesting to see exactly how they did that. Considering how detailed the Frostbite engine can be, I wonder what the mods will be for this game. Of course, on the other hand, there is, with this being, well, I imagine that the people who have CD versions of the game won't have too much of a hard time doing mods, but for Origin users like myself, I imagine that it might be a little more difficult. Here's where I finally get to us. I look at all different features, and where it says hands, that's where I select someone. I guess partner means another player, I don't know, but I select theirs, and that's when I finally get the rocket pack. And this is where I attempt to like fly up onto a ledge. However, I end up bouncing around every time I use it, so I never really use it that well. Furthermore, this is what causes me to fall into a pit. And unfortunately, when I do fall into the pit, I have to wait for it to recharge, so I pretty much die falling into the pit. Yeah, this is something that we gotta like look out for, is the fact that when you hit a ledge, you will possibly bounce off the ledge and not even go in the direction you intended to go with the rocket pack. Getting a little bit more proficient now at being able to aim properly. As you can see, I am using the zoom to take out far away enemies. This, I'm impressed with the fact that I was able to do such a long away shot.
Another pod has hit the deck.
Again, you can see the particle effects with the explosions in the distance. I don't know if they're mock explosions or something actually did blow up over there. Like generated explosions or dust or fire or whatever. I wonder if they're even volumetric. Be nice to know if they are. Ooh, the Star Destroyer blew up in atmosphere. Or is that a foreground effect? I think that must have been a foreground. It looked too big to be from the Star Destroyer. I finally get the rocket pack to work the way I wanted to. But I think it's about to be my undoing anyways. Because this is where I think I'm about to fall into a pit. You saw him throwing a grenade, well, a thermal detonator. And as for me calling the other gun a grenade launcher, I just did it because I didn't know what it was called. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of flamings from Star Wars fanatics. Not that I'm not, I just don't try to know the minute details. Oh, there's a lot more ships in the background. So a Nebulon B frigate and Corellian corvette. And here's where I fall into the pit. I know that I'm dying from whatever is in the pit. I try to get up on a ledge, either hoping to crawl out or stay alive long enough for the rocket pack to regenerate, but I die anyways. You know, looking at the whole thing in perspective, like the Battle of Endor, the Rebel Alliance fleet had more variety of ships than the Empire did. The Empire just had Star Destroyers. I wonder if they're going to have maybe some expanded universe Imperial ships to go along with the variety of Rebel ships there are. It'd be nice to have a variety of Imperial ships in the background. Well, here's where the round is over, so I killed 6 people and I died 11 times. Of course, that's to compare to the people who did the high scores. And this is where I find that I ranked up to at least 2, impressively. Didn't think I'd get that high that quickly. Unless, of course, it's easy to get that high that quickly. And with this being the beta, I wonder if this score is going to carry over to the full game. I get 565 credits. I wonder if that's going to go towards being able to buy weapons in the game. Well, the game overall, the graphics are impressive. The settings I have with my own PC, and especially the hardware being able to play as well as it did at such a high setting, lets me know that this game is going to work pretty good with even simple hardware. So, this is Joshua724, and now I guess I'll upload to YouTube. Goodbye.